Greedy, if I'm Andrew Berry, the GM of the Browns, I am saying to Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel, here's the answers to the test. We have 2 first-round picks next year. Every day is a job interview. Convince us that we don't need a quarterback. And now with 2 ones with next year's draft with all those quarterbacks, we could get a generational haul, earn this job.
What happens when the NFL writes off a rookie before he's even unpacked his gym bag, and then he shows up and embarrasses everyone? Enter Shedeur Sanders, the kid the league wasn't sure about, who just turned the Browns' preseason opener into his personal highlight reel. Rex Ryan's got takes, the Panthers have regrets, and the NFL's got egg on its face. Grab your popcorn because this isn't just a game recap, it's a roast in cleats.
Every day, and to Dan's point, he has earned the right for more reps, and clearly he has been studying because you can't play as fast as Dan showed without knowing what...
All right, let's get into it. Because week 1 of the NFL preseason just served up something better than any Netflix comedy special, and it's got one name written all over it: Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, that's right, the same Shedeur the NFL scouts looked at like he was a maybe. The same Shedeur they thought would need training wheels to handle a professional defense. Well, turns out he rolled in without the training wheels, without the bike, and just borrowed the Browns' offense to do donuts around the Panthers. This wasn't just a debut, this was a football mic drop.
When you watch that game, there were a couple moments, like 2 or 3 plays where you sit there and go, Shedeur, don't do it, because he's backpedaling and drifting. He's got to learn through that. But every report we've heard out of camp has been, man, he's been really impressive at practice.
Let's set the scene. Browns versus Panthers. It's preseason, so normally you expect half the stadium to be Googling which players are even on the field. But from the moment Shedeur took the field, people sat up. Even the beer vendors stopped mid-pour to see what was going on. And by the end of the game, the Panthers' defense looked like they'd been chasing a squirrel through a corn maze. Fast, confused, and slightly humiliated. And the best part? The Browns won. Which is rare enough in itself, but the way they did it, that's what's got Rex Ryan and half of NFL Twitter losing their minds.
But overall, this was tremendous. You know, that's probably a little overstatement, but it was very good for him. I would give him a B+. I could see if someone wanted to give him an A- when you consider the circumstances. Like every 5th round pick is under some pressure in the preseason because you might not even make the team. But for him, like if he went out there and played poorly, couldn't get the offense under control, was bad at the line of scrimmage, made some bad throws, who knows what his future would have been.
Correct.
Now, the NFL, bless their cautious, overly corporate hearts, has this habit of acting like they're the gatekeepers of who's ready and who isn't. You know the drill: overanalyzing arm angles, asking if the player has poise in the pocket, and then ranking them lower because their handshake wasn't firm enough at the combine. That's exactly what they did with Shedeur. They looked at his college tape, nodded politely, and basically went, nice, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Fast forward to week 1, and Shedeur looked like he'd been playing in the league for years. Quick reads, pinpoint throws, pocket awareness so good you'd think he had GPS in his helmet. And the way he managed the game, it was like watching someone casually beat a video game on hard mode while explaining the plot to a friend.
I like Rex. I like Rex. I don't think Ron has the right personalities.
Meanwhile, the Panthers' defense was auditioning for the role of traffic cones. The only thing they managed to tackle all night was their own morale. You could see it in their body language by the second quarter. That subtle, oh no, we're in trouble look that defensive backs get when they realize they're about to be on the wrong end of a viral clip. Rex Ryan broke it down perfectly. He didn't just say Shedeur was good, he practically sent the NFL a told you so postcard. Rex has been around long enough to know when a guy isn't just having a lucky night, but actually belongs in this league. And in his words, Shedeur's performance wasn't about flashes of potential. It was about a young quarterback already operating with veteran-level confidence.
Diana, most interesting thing in preseason week number 1 was what?
How different the league feels about Shedeur Sanders' performance compared to the rest of us.
Funny.
Chase, my colleague on Scoop City, quarterback, 14 years, studies film like a lunatic. He's like an Orlovsky. Loves it. Like, just consumes this stuff.
And let's talk about confidence, because Shedeur has the kind that makes coaches lean forward in their chairs. You can teach mechanics, you can drill footwork, but you can't fake that unshakable, calm demeanor under pressure. That's the stuff that makes the difference between being the backup we kind of like and being the guy we build an offense around. Now, let's sprinkle in some comedy here because the NFL's reaction is too good not to laugh at. All offseason, they had experts ranking rookies like they were judging a baking competition. Shedeur was basically the cute little pie they thought wouldn't rise in the oven. Week 1 comes around and boom, 5-star souffle, baby. The NFL is standing there holding the recipe card upside down, wondering what happened. The Browns fan base, but this feels different. This feels like a guy who could actually deliver without making the whole thing a soap opera.
This is the thing I loved about Rex Ryan. This is a personal story. Like, Rex Ryan would not want to hear what you couldn't do. He wants to know what you can do. And he's going to send.
And that's why the Panthers should be sending Shedeur a fruit basket, because he just gave them the kind of publicity they haven't had since Cam Newton was dabbing on people. Unfortunately for them, it's the wrong kind of publicity. Panthers fans didn't leave that stadium talking about their team's areas of improvement. They left talking about how some rookie just danced through their defense like it was a homecoming parade. There was one moment, and Browns fans know exactly what I'm talking about, where Shedeur dropped back, the pocket started collapsing, and instead of panicking, he just shifted, set his feet, and delivered a laser right between two defenders. It was the kind of throw that makes you stop mid-snack and go, wait, did he just do that? And the crazy thing is, he made it look casual. They're out here doing damage control like, it's just preseason, it doesn't mean anything. Right, and I suppose the Super Bowl doesn't mean anything if you play it in February. We know what this is. It's the early warning shot that Shedeur Sanders isn't here to be good for a rookie. He's here to be good, period.
So the Cleveland reporters finally asked Dillon Gabriel the narrative that's been spinning around his name. You know, he processed the information completely better than...
Cleveland's offense looked energized in a way it hasn't in a long time. The receivers were sharper, the line was giving him just enough time, and Shedeur was putting the ball where only his guys could get it. It's the kind of rhythm that makes an offense dangerous, even if the playbook is still in preseason mode. Of course, we can't ignore the comedy gold of watching Panthers fans slowly realize what was happening. First quarter, they're polite. Second quarter, they're grumbling. Third quarter, they're on their phones looking up fantasy football waiver wire options, because clearly this is not the year. By the fourth quarter, they're just praying it ends before they have to see another rookie QB flexing on their defense. And here's the final kicker. Shedeur didn't even look like he was trying to prove the NFL wrong. That's the beauty of it. He wasn't out there playing with a chip on his shoulder. He was out there playing like the game already belonged to him. That's what's got Rex Ryan smiling like he just found free snacks in the locker room. Bottom line, the NFL can spin it however they want. I can't wait to see what happens when the games actually count. Browns fans, you might want to start practicing your victory parades. Panthers fans, you might want to start practicing your deep breathing exercises.
Okay,
He can play. He can play.
One other thing, we talked about this last week, no self-inflicted wounds. There weren't pre-snap penalties, no delays, and that to me, again, shows that it's not too big for him.
I am right. So
Because the NFL just got its first taste of Shedeur Sanders, and something tells me they're about to get a lot more. If you were an NFL GM who passed on Shedeur Sanders or thought he wasn't worth the hype, you might want to call in sick this week. Not because your team doctor recommends it, but because you're about to hear his name on every sports show, podcast, and bar conversation from here to next year. The Browns didn't just beat the Panthers, they introduced the league to a quarterback who plays like he's been secretly running an NFL offense in his basement for the last 5 years. And the thing is, this wasn't one of those, he's got raw talent, just needs polished debuts. This was polished. This was smooth. This was like showing up to a casual party in a tuxedo and still somehow making everyone else look underdressed. Shedeur wasn't rattled. He wasn't panicking. He pointed out how Shedeur's pocket movement wasn't just random scrambling. It was deliberate. Step up, slide left, reset, boom, completion. That's veteran behavior. Most rookies in week 1 look like they're playing the floor is lava and the pass rushers are the lava. Shedeur, he looked like he was directing traffic in a parking lot. Calm hand gestures, no rush. Everyone ends up exactly where they need to be.
Great question, because you always want results, but I think more than anything, it's consistent results. So if you don't have a process you can truly hang your hat on, then you're leaving up to chance, or maybe it's more inconsistent rather than having a strong process. And of course, you know how the game of football goes. There's a lot of positives. There may be some negatives, but there's also something to priding yourself on your process and how you work and how you approach it. And for me, I think you build up that process and you want to see results, and it will come. And definitely know that, like I just said, it's a results-based business, so you got to go do it. And that's why we always talk about no excuses.
And speaking of rushers, the Panthers' front seven came into this game looking to feast on a rookie. They left looking like they'd been served humble pie. And not even the warm, sweet kind. I'm talking cold, unsalted, cafeteria-style humble pie. By the third quarter, it was like they'd accepted they weren't getting to him. You could almost see the thought bubbles over their heads. All right, fine. Let's just make sure we're in the frame when he makes the highlight reel, so maybe our moms will see us on TV. You know how sometimes an NFL quarterback will make a throw so clean that it forces even the opposing defense to nod like, yeah, that's fair? That happened multiple times. We've seen plenty of QBs with cannons for arms flame out because they couldn't stop throwing into double coverage. Shedeur isn't out there testing his luck. He's out there testing the defense's patience.
I know it's only 1 week. It's a little early. We don't want to get too carried away. But who had a better weekend this weekend than Malachi Bergeron? I don't know if he was on the Chesapeake Bay or where he was in Baltimore eating crabs, but I do know that the one player that he touted all through the draft shined on.
That third quarter drive, pure art. The Browns were backed up near their own goal line. In most rookie scenarios, this is where you see a 3-and-out faster than you can say punt formation. Not here. Shedeur calmly moved the chains with short, precise throws, mixing in just enough misdirection to make the Panthers linebackers question their life choices. By the time they crossed midfield, the defense was already gasping for air. The drive ended with a touchdown that felt inevitable, like the Panthers were just passengers on the Browns scoring train. And let's pause to appreciate the Browns' offensive line for a second. They know when they've got someone worth protecting. You could see it in the way they were holding blocks just that fraction of a second longer. When you have a quarterback who's making plays, you'll dig a little deeper, push a little harder, and take that extra step to make sure he stays clean. Now, there's a delicious irony here. The NFL has been talking all summer about rookies to watch, and somehow Shedeur Sanders kept getting mentioned with the football equivalent of a we'll see shrug. Meanwhile, we've got other rookies who got hyped up like the second coming of Joe Montana and have spent preseason overthrowing open receivers by 10 yards. One guy in the NFC looked like he was trying to complete passes to the concession stand. But Shedeur? Cool, composed, efficient, and that's got to sting for the "it's just preseason" crowd. That phrase is like the NFL's version of "it's not you, it's me." Translation: we were wrong, but we can't admit it yet.
What Shedeur did Friday night makes me anxious now to see Dillon Gabriel in the preseason, because I want to see what he can do. And look, if Dillon goes out there and he does what Shedeur did, I got no problem saying I was wrong. Then Dillon's just a bad practice quarterback. Dillon very good on the whiteboard. Dillon very good at memorizing stuff. Dillon very good in games. He's a terrible practice quarterback. I would have no problem saying that. But right now, he's a terrible practice quarterback.
And yes, I know preseason is about evaluation, not results, but you know what else it's about? Seeing if a guy can step onto an NFL field and not look like he wandered in by accident. Shedeur didn't just belong, he took over. That matters. The fans in Cleveland are already dreaming big. Social media is full of clips, memes, and the occasional overly ambitious Super Bowl prediction. And while we should pump the brakes on January parades, and players feed off that, when your quarterback exudes confidence, you start believing every play can work, even the ones that shouldn't. And let's be honest, the Panthers' defensive playbook isn't exactly a walk in the park. They threw blitzes at him, disguised coverages, tried to bait him into rookie mistakes. Instead, he baited them. There was one play in particular where he looked off the safety so convincingly that the poor guy might still be running in the wrong direction as we speak. The pass, completed for a first down like it was drawn up in a dream.
Big day for Big Shedeur. Let's put things into perspective. Take this time to create competitive commotion. What I mean about competitive commotion is you're in a quarterback battle. You want to get the whispers, the chirping. Hey man, what Shedeur look.
Panthers fans will tell you this was just a bad night, that the real team will show up in the regular season. But deep down, they know what happened. They just got their first real taste of Shedeur Sanders, and it didn't go down easy. Cleveland, on the other hand, is walking a little taller this week. They know it's early. They know there's a long season ahead, but they also know they might have found their guy. And in a league where quarterback purgatory can last for decades, that's enough to get the whole city buzzing. Oh, and one last thing. The NFL may be wrong about Shedeur now, but give it a few weeks and watch how fast they pivot. Pretty soon, those same analysts will be acting like they saw this coming all along. You'll hear stuff like, "I've been high on Sanders since day one," from people who spent all summer ranking him in the bottom half of rookie QBs. That's just how it works. But we'll remember. We'll remember who doubted, who hedged, and who flat out dismissed him. And more importantly, we'll remember week 1 of the 2025 preseason when a so-called maybe turned into a must-watch in the span of 4 quarters. So buckle up, Browns fans. Whether the NFL is ready or not, Shedeur Sanders is here. And if this is just the warm-up, the regular season could be something truly special.